Hello and welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast, and I am your host, Samuel. In this podcast, I interview top medical sales reps and leading medical sales executives across the entire country. And it doesn't matter what medical sales industry, from medical device to pharmaceutical to genetic testing to diagnostic lab, you name it. You will learn how to either break into the industry, be a top 5% performer within your role in sales, or climb the corporate ladder. Welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. Last week, we had the opportunity to listen to Jeremy Laynor, Senior Vice President of Global Sales for Providence Medical Technology. They're a medical device company that specializes in cervical spinal conditions. And last week was about his career track. How did he enter the industry, what he experienced, and really how he rose to the level he is today as Senior Vice President. In part 2, which you're about to hear, we now get into the pearls of wisdom he's learned when he entered, as he rose the ranks, and currently in his leadership position. It's a great episode because it has pearls for everyone. If you're a job seeker that's looking to get into a medical device sales position, you're going to learn something today. If you're someone that's a sales professional that's currently in medical device sales, you're going to learn something today. And even if you're a leader that's responsible for a team or a number of teams, you're going to learn something today. So as always, thank you for listening to the Medical Sales Podcast, and I really hope you enjoy this interview. So before we get started, I have a couple programs that show you exactly how to break into the medical sales industry, become a top-performing medical sales professional, and masterfully navigate your career to executive-level leadership. Visit evolveyoursuccess.com to find out more. You really thought about the day-to-day and the overall impact of what your role does, and that just sold you on the opportunity to jump into the space.
And obviously, listen, the compensation was very enticing as well because it was, at that point, it was kind of an uncapped comp plan, and it was like, as much as you can sell, you can make.
Right. Sky's the limit.
I work really hard. I think I can sell a lot. And
awesome.
And I'm confident that if I put the work in, I'll get the results. And
I love it. I love to hear it.
That was great.
That's excellent. So then what brought you to Fat Cloud? Was that was a startup?
Yeah. Same kind of thing. Now we've made the transition to Medtronic. I'm an area vice president, huge team. I had made a name for myself within the organization because I was kind of came from the bottom up, and, I knew everybody. It was great. It was it's just a great ride. Medtronic, amazing company, but big. I'm one of now 40,000 people, and,
right.
And things culturally kind of shift a little bit. And I had this unique, said, hey, have you ever thought of software sales? And I said, I've been interested in it. I don't know much about it. And they really, kind of sold me on the vision of this really neat technology. And I said, well, you know what, if there's no better time than right now to give it a shot. Where I'm at with Medtronic, I don't see, a whole lot of change in the near future. This is a good time to give it a shot. And frankly, it was kind of that risk reward play again. It was like, all right, I'm going to try something very different. I'm in a great role, but who knows where this could lead me,
Wow.
And I did it for, a year and a half. And Samuel, what I learned was that I really liked the intrinsic value. I didn't realize this. The intrinsic value of that connection to the physician and the patient was much stronger than I had thought. Because when I went to technology sales, and no offense to anybody in software, but I'm now building a model to sell a database. It was like, okay, what's the database do? It stores a lot of information. Cool. I like that. But now what else? And then you realize, wow, med device, medical sales, pharmaceuticals. It's such a great industry, medical sales, because of the impact and the connection, and it's so powerful. And there's so many great things you can do out in the world, but I thought, you know what, I want to get back. And fortunately, I built a big enough network, and there was a lot going on with that opportunity. I didn't just up and leave that, we don't need to get into, but the bottom line is, the technology is going to get divested to one of the customers, and the future was a risky play.
Sure.
And, that one didn't pan out in terms of a big exit or a big acquisition, but I learned a lot. It was a tremendous growth opportunity for me. And I saw another space, and it solidified my passion for what I do and did. And it got me back,
So, I mean, because my next question was going to be, how did working at Fat Cloud serve you as you went on to then go into Paradigm Spine? And it sounds like you said it reinforced your passion for where you want to be as far as devices are concerned.
Yeah.
Can you even go as far as to say that if it hadn't been for Fat Cloud, you might not have even seen the opportunity with Paradigm Spine?
100%. Everything happens for a reason.
Right,
100% is that if I don't make that change, the Paradigm Spine, the timing of all that wouldn't have happened. It couldn't have happened. And absolutely. So, and it also gets back to that high performance team thing, is that, the gentleman that hired me at Paradigm's named David Brown, is a mentor of mine that I had actually worked for at Salient. And, when he called me, I was like, oh my gosh, it was so refreshing, because I'm like, here we go. High performance team. This guy's going to push the limits, and we're going to go full speed ahead and bring out a new technology to the market. And that's exactly what we did. And it was, another great 5-6 year experience.
Okay. So then, the final question as far as your current career progression, what then finally brought you to Providence Medical? And this is Providence Medical Technology. So go ahead.
Yeah. So at Salient and Medtronic, I was in spine, but peripherally, because we were selling into the procedure, but we weren't selling implants. But I understood the spine space and had a lot of experience around it. Paradigm was spine. We are in lumbar, decompressions, and we're selling hardware into that procedure. And again, bringing out a new technology, breaking down doors, conceptual selling, building a team, high-powered, high-performance team. And, and eventually I became the VP of sales at Paradigm, was promoted there. And that, it was a great run. Providence recruited me and said, listen, here's our story. This is what we're trying to accomplish. And it just resonated with me. And the timing was really interesting, because Paradigm was shifting into their acquisition mode. So I knew that, that the future was going to be limited under the Paradigm umbrella. We were going to be somebody else. And I'd already been through that before. And again, it was, is it time to take that leap? Is the risk? And what do I see from a day-to-day standpoint?
Right.
And I loved the team at Providence was really talented, really got along very well with the entire executive team, especially the CEO.
Sure. And
I said, they've got a really special technology that needs to, it needs to be brought to the market in a way that, it deserves. And, they've been out and they've been doing a great job. And, it was just, to me, it was an opportunity to enhance and, take a lot of the experiences I've had and apply them in a place that I felt really comfortable with the people, and applying some of the ideas that I had seen and mistakes I'd made, frankly, a lot of mistakes along the way. How do I take those mistakes and take the things that work and bring them to Providence Medical in a way that can enhance and accelerate their vision of where they want to be someday? And that's kind of that's the pathway we've been on. That's the mission we're on right now, a worthwhile mission.
That's excellent. So I keep hearing a theme through your career of taking a risk, expanding the skill set and taking a risk. Talk to us a little bit about, and it's kind of a 3-tiered question. I want to know from you, go back to being a sales rep. What are 2 major points that you would recommend any sales rep listening right now, or someone that wants to be a sales rep, they have to really consider as they're performing in their role, and they want to go in and explore other opportunities? What should be in their mind?
Sustained success. One-hit wonders, I've seen them come and go. I can't tell you how many really talented, but I guess that, their head gets in the wrong place. They have a great year, and then they expect, hey, I was President's Club. I'm President's Club guy.
Got it.
So now everything should happen. It's like, no. How do you do it over and over and over again? And it doesn't mean you have to be President's Club every year, but how do you build a platform for yourself? What is the foundation? What are the principles you work off of to create sustained success over time? And furthermore, if you're thinking about leadership, get promoted within your own company. The grass isn't always greener. Try and stay 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years at an organization where you can show I sustained success as a rep. I did it as a manager. I did it as a director. Now I'm doing it as a VP. And if those two things were really, really important in my career, and I see it now as a leader of sales teams, that if you can sustain success over time, get promoted from within, build your network, and show value, you're going to have no problems finding opportunities wherever you want to go.
Got it. That's good. And then for those first line leaders, maybe sales rep and you're a newly minted manager, what would you say in addition to sustained success, what would you say they need to keep in mind to really deliver in their role as a new manager?
It's interesting. It's a great question, because I've become so much more aware of the blind spots I had as a young leader now.
Right.
And I'll credit that to a lot of executive coaching. And I would tell anybody, if your companies offer that, or you can get executive coaching, do it. It will pay itself back in spades, because I've been really fortunate to be exposed to some tremendous executive coaches that just help you with your blind spots. And if I could paint a visual, if you think about 3 circles, it's kind of like the first very, very, very small circle is what you know.
Okay.
The circle around that's what you know you don't know,
right?
Which is much, much bigger.
Right.
And then this massive circle that goes around that is what you don't know you don't know.
Sure.
And as you get more mature and understand your own blind spots, that you realize how big that other circle is, you've got to collaborate. You've got to take advice. You got to be a great listener. Just because you're a manager doesn't mean you need to have all the answers. You really don't.
Yeah.
But you really need to be the best listener, and you got to be the best collaborator. And can you work cross-functionally? And then can you apply some of those things that probably got you to management, like your competitive nature, your attention to detail, your discipline?
Right.
Can you apply some of that underneath there, but understand that I need to collaborate. I need to listen. I need to be aware of my surroundings, aware of that big circle, that huge circle that surrounds me, and just consume. If there's one thing I could go back and do in my, call it 10, 15 years ago, is just consume more information, books, podcasts. Like what you're doing, I think is great, because it just allows for this type of interaction that, frankly, I don't even know 10 years ago if podcasts were not the norm. I don't even know if they existed. But I sure didn't listen to them. And it took the last few years for me to really engage in that, and really reading, and using Audible is another great technology, but consuming information as a leader, it's so important.
I hope you're enjoying today's episode. And I want to let you know that I have a couple of programs that show you exactly how to break into the medical sales industry, become a top-performing medical sales professional, and masterfully navigate your career to executive level leadership. Visit evolveyoursuccess.com to find out more. So because you've had so much experience, you've been a sales rep, you've been a manager, and now you're a VP. So as a VP, what else would you say needs to be added to this sustained success? You need to be open and receive and be humble to understand and consuming information. What's that third thing that you just throw in there to really execute well as a VP? Because, there's a lot of budding VPs. I talk to a lot of people that have now just stepped into that VP role.
Yeah. I don't know that I've got the silver bullet, but I can tell you, at least in the years that I've been in the executive leadership teams, a lot of it has to do with being able to work cross-functionally. Are you able to go over and work very closely with marketing leaders, with clinical operations, finance, and start to not only work with them, but understand what are their challenges, and really start to be broader in your view. Don't be so myopic to, I need to hit a number, because that's what's pounded into you as a frontline manager, as a sales rep, is hit the number, top line revenue. You may have an expense account or a T&E budget that you're managing, but you really need to get broader. I think being able to ground yourself, understand who are you being, where are your blind spots, surround yourself with people that will allow to really pick up where you can't be good at everything, Sam. There's things that I'm naturally really strong in and things that I'm just not. Sure. If I can find teammates that can pick up those areas where, and I try and develop those areas of I call them growth opportunities, not weaknesses. Those growth opportunities, but I want to focus on things I do really well. Right. And then there's people that on my high performance teams that do really well at the things I don't. When I get those people aligned around our vision, boy, we can do really amazing things. I can imagine. So I think as you're moving up in your career into that VP or C-suite role, it's really about, understanding who you are, what you're good at, who you need to be around. What are your values? What are your principles? What's your approach? How are you approaching your day-to-day? What are the foundations and the values and the morals that you want to bring to the table that you won't compromise?
Got it.
And that's really important. And, you and I had talked about it a little bit. About 4 years ago, I met a surgeon at a dinner named Dr. Kotler. It was in Houston. And he was telling me about some things that he was doing. And he was a little later in his career. And he said, I was approached on LinkedIn by a publisher. And they said, if you can write a book about orthopedics in 90 days, we're going to publish it. We're going to promote it for you. and you just write this thing, write this book. And he's like, 90 days? I don't know if I can do that. So he dictated the whole book, and he wrote not only a book in 90 days, he wrote another book in like 30 days after that. And he published 2 books. Wow. And I was like, oh my gosh. And he said, listen, if it's something you're passionate about, about, you can do it. I was like, well, I'm passionate about business and teams and I'm passionate about basketball. Those are the 2 things I really know a lot about. So I did that. And over the course, I didn't do it in 90 days, unfortunately, but over the course of the last, 3-4 years, traveling about 150,000 miles a year on trains, planes, and automobiles, instead of watching, Netflix episodes, I wrote a book, and it's about the approach. And I call it the point guard approach. And it's about the principles and the ideas and concepts that I learned on the basketball court that I look back on. I'm like, I applied all these things in business. It's amazing. So I've just recently signed with a publisher, and we're in the process, very early stages of getting this book published, but I'm really excited about that. So yeah.
See, so now everyone here is going to get your book, because now we're going to be waiting and anticipating the point guard approach.
Love it. Yeah. And we launched, we have a landing page and a website. So if anybody's interested in kind of tracking to that, go to the pointguardapproach.com, all one word, and little landing page there. You can, I think, subscribe. And when things start happening, boy, I'd love your audience to get exposed to it.
Definitely. So let me ask you a little bit about that. What was the impetus behind wanting to write a book? Was it just, it's always been there, or did something happen, or just talking with this physician?
Yeah, he was the one that got me over the top. It was like, well, he's not a writer. I'm not a writer, but he was really passionate about orthopedics. He's really passionate about telling the story and sharing with other people. And that was kind of what influenced me to say, man, I'm really passionate about 2 things, in addition to my family, of course, which, goes without saying. But, basketball was a big part of my life for a really long time. And in fact, I've been around basketball for like 35 years.
Right.
I don't want to give my age away, but, I started playing when I was 1. But no, it's a big part of my life, and I put a lot of time and hours into it. And then I went on to coach, and I've been coaching, since I was probably 21, different levels, AAU teams, high school, the whole thing. And now I have my own kids, and I get to coach. And anyway, long story short is that was really interesting. And then all the experience I've had, which we just, took some snapshots from, the incredible crossover of those things, like, this is really interesting. Maybe this will help somebody. I don't know if it will, but I know a lot of people like basketball, and a lot of people are in business.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be sales.
Yeah.
Business. Those 2 things crossed over. There's some really interesting points. And if I can help a few people, why not try? Right. And guess what? Is it better to write the book or watch that Netflix episode?
Write the book. Definitely write the book. Yeah.
Write the book,
That's excellent.
So that was it. Yeah. I'm really proud of the process. We'll see how it comes out. If I tell some friends and family, if I sell 1 book or sell, 1,000 books, that's not going to be, how I measure it. It was really the process. And I'm more proud about doing it than I am whatever happens from there.
What's the number one thing you learned in writing the book that you didn't know before you started writing the book?
Wow. The number one, how hard it is to write and take ideas and put them on paper, even though you think that stuff, and I really do. Taking that in a way that somebody else can palate and understand was really hard. And, I didn't have formal writing training. I had English class in college, but that was humbling, to say the least. And I'll tell you, the other one was, how do you start? And one of my favorite sayings, and I know somebody else has probably said it, but I actually say this a lot, is start by starting. And that's what I did. Is the only way to get started is just start. Start to do the research, put your pen to paper, and just get a framework built. And that was actually probably the hardest part, was just getting the framework to start and getting the confidence that, okay, this makes some sense. Now, how do I do this? And then build some discipline in, like, all right, am I going to write every time I get on a plane? When am I going to do this? How do I go about it? And, and fortunately, again, because of some of the time I had, I didn't have to take away from my family. I have 4 children. When I get home from
4 children,
60, 70, 80-hour work week, the last thing I do is I don't go golf. I don't go fishing for the day alone. I do things with my kids. And so the time I had was really to write in the hotel, write on the plane, the train, the automobile. And that's where I got 90% of the work done. A lot of the fine tuning was done late at night, after everybody's in bed. But family time, I couldn't compromise it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay. So then one last thing, we touched on it a little bit, and we talked about pharmaceutical sales reps getting into medical devices. You already know that a lot of listeners that are listening to this show, they're already in medical sales, but some of them aren't. Some of them want to get into medical sales, and some of them want to go directly from business to business sales into medical device sales. For those people out there that are either in business to business and want to be in medical device sales, or those pharma reps that are, pharma reps want to be in medical device sales, what's one word of advice you can just give them as far as how the best way they can make that happen?
Well, I don't know if there's one. I think connecting with somebody, because everybody's networks, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. I mean, somebody that knows somebody that's doing the role you want already. Right. Get connected to them. Talk to them. What did they do? How did they get in? That network's really, really important. And do the research. Put the time in, and really try and understand, what do you want to do? It sounds sexy and great to be in med device. Do you really want to be in there?
Right.
Do you want to be in the OR? In that environment, make sure that's what you want before you jump into it. I've interviewed thousands of people now over my career, and there's a good deal of them that I think we're trying to get into the business for the wrong reason. Mm-hmm. And I think if your foundation is you want to help improve patient outcomes, mm-hmm. you're going to the right field. Okay. And it's not about, I want to make X amount of dollars. Mm-hmm. That'll come if you're doing it for the right reasons. You've got the work ethic and all those things. But I think in addition to the network, is there's services like you offer, Samuel, where you can connect with advisors, people that have expertise in this industry, and get the coaching, very similar to what I talked about with executive coaching, right?
Right.
Is leverage services like you offer to, find pathways and leverage the network and understand what are the nuances to the business that you offer, and you understand that somebody that's just coming off of a B2B job right now just doesn't, it's again, that big circle. Right. They don't know what they don't know.
Right.
Connect with somebody that knows what they don't know.
Got it.
And you have that. So, I think that's a great opportunity.
Excellent. All right. So last thing, is there anything you want to share with anybody listening right now? Just your last word of advice. And it doesn't even matter who it pertains to, just general life advice. What is it?
General life advice, I think stay humble. Right. Work hard. Find something you're really passionate about for the right reason.
Right.
And put in the work, and when you do those things, I think the script will play out, and you're going to end up where you want to be, and help somebody else out. One of the big principles I believe in is assists, and as a point guard, your job is to set other people up for success, right?
Right. I like that.
They track that because it's such a valuable stat. When you're feeling down, when you're feeling like, the world's turned its back to you, is go help somebody.
Sure.
And I promise you, and if you ask yourself, who have I helped recently? Who did I help today? How can I help somebody today?
Yeah.
Your spirit will turn around. The world will come back to you. So think about assists. Think how you can assist somebody else. And with that, that principle and that idea, that concept, what goes around comes around, man. Somebody's going to assist you as well. So go make some assists.
So well said. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for the time you spent with us today. It was excellent to have you. And yeah, hopefully we catch up with you in the near future. And thank you again.
Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Definitely. Wasn't that a great episode? That was Jeremy Laynor. And what I really loved about that episode is he talks about you don't know what you don't know, and having that big picture view, and the point of finding someone to connect with that knows what you don't know when you're stepping into something new. And also, I love how he gets into assists. When you're feeling down and you don't think that things are working out the way you want them to, instead of staying in your own space and feeling down about it, go give an assist. Go help someone out. Go do something for someone and help them get to the next step. It's insights like that make me really proud to help Jeremy get his book into your hands. So I definitely want to make sure that we create an avenue to allow that to happen. For all you listeners out there, I am going to leave a link to his book, to get his book on this episode. So you're going to be able to go to this episode and click a link and get access to his book and really get into the point guard approach. And, you're going to be able to do the things that we talk about. Give somebody an assist. In fact, I challenge you today, if you know someone that can just use a little bit of help, go ahead and give them an assist. And if you're looking to get into something different and get a position, for example, you're listening to this episode and you're outside of this industry and you want to get into medical sales, then just like Jeremy said, you have to connect with someone that can help you know what you don't know. I want you to visit evolveyoursuccess.com and select Attain a Medical Sales Role. And that's going to take you to one of our programs that can really help you get a position called the Medical Sales Career Builder. If you really want to get a position, you want to get into this industry, you want to get into medical device sales, or if you want to get into pharmaceutical sales or genetic sales or molecular sales, again, visit evolveyoursuccess.com and select Attain a Medical Sales Role. And for those of you that want to improve your performance that are working right now in medical devices or pharmaceuticals, and you're saying, you know what, I want to take my career to the next level. Again, visit evolveyoursuccess.com and select Improve Sales Performance. As always, I do my best to bring you wonderful guests that share pearls of wisdom that can really help you get into this industry and improve your career. So thank you again for listening to the Medical Sales Podcast, and make sure to stay tuned for another episode next week. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And remember, I have a couple programs that show you exactly how to break into the medical sales industry, become a top-performing medical sales professional, and also how to masterfully navigate your career to executive-level leadership. Check out these programs and learn more at evolveyoursuccess.com. Stay tuned for more awesome content with amazing interviews.